I work with the DEA now, which is pretty fucking insane.
Wow.
But, the DEA came to me. I didn't go to the DEA. The DEA came to me and they said, look, Novak, we understand that we cannot arrest our way out of this problem anymore. Right.
Wow. It took him long enough.
Right.
Shit,
Yeah.
Jesus.
And
Where you been, man?
War on drugs.
And the just say no thing didn't work, shocker. But they said, we understand that we can no longer arrest our way out of this problem. We are going to create this thing called the Opioid Summit, the 360-degree Opioid Summit. And we're going to have it in every state. The DEA is the DEA, but under that umbrella are all these different factions of the DEA. It's like the VA, right? The VA is the VA, but then you have all these other VAs in different states, and they're all kind of ran differently. They're not under the same guidelines the DEA is very similar. So what they did was they brought me on to be this, the keynote speaker for these events that they throw, because they want to try to, instill change in the approach that they're headed in with addiction and the crisis that we're in. So they interviewed Pablo Escobar, and they were telling me about this. They said, we went to Pablo, and they said, how do we stop the supply? How do we stop the supply? And Pablo looked at them at real matter-of-fact, nonchalant, didn't even blink his eye. He said, you stop the supply by stopping the demand.
Right.
So simple. So simple that most miss that. What I can tell you is, me being a person who's coming up on 9 years sober, I literally spent the majority of every living breath in my body coming up with ways to find as much money to consume as much heroin into my arm as possible for a lot of years. And the fact that I'm no longer living that way, just me as one human in this 7.3 billion people in the world, I've stopped, just myself, a lot of the demand. Just me, right? So when someone took the time to help me, what happened was I accepted the help. Now I help another. 2 turn into 4, 4 turn into 8, 8 turn into 16. And before you know it, the narrative is changing, meaning that the outcome is changing. So that's the approach that, but if you look at the numbers, we're losing this battle.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
don't believe it.
Isn't the pharmaceutical industry one of the biggest problems with this too?
It's so disgusting.
I mean, we're the only country in the world besides, we're not even half as bad as New Zealand, but they're the only other country that allows advertising of pharmaceutical drugs on television and everywhere else. And like, even with those recent documentaries that came out, the painkiller documentary and then the Purdue Pharma, all that shit is like, I mean, you want to talk about a cartel.
Yeah. It's insane. They are, as a complete fact to my belief, they are worse drug dealers than the guys out here on the corner that are just like legit selling whatever they're selling.
Yeah, no doubt.
Those are the real gangsters.
Yeah, but if you could stop those companies being able to make so much goddamn money and skirt so much regulation and like being literally in lockstep with lobbying fucking politicians to be able to get away with whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to me like the lowest hanging fruit to the problem, right?
So but it's just so complex, so convoluted, so layered that my feeble mind doesn't see a solution to that. But what I can wrap my head around, what I can conceive is like helping another individual.
Yeah.
2 turn into
Do what
4,
you
4
can.
turn into 8, 8 turn into 16. The narrative changes because the demand is stopping. The supply is no longer needed. The outcome is, fuck, like, I'm cool. I don't even, I'm not interested in what you're selling. That's my outlook on a grim situation that I can wrap my head around and really believe things will change over.
Do you know anything about the program they have in, I forget what country it is right now. I want to say it's like Finland or something, where they actually made heroin legal to where like if you have a problem with heroin, like a doctor will work with you and like titrate down your dose, and you can actually go to the doctor to get your heroin, like make sure it's clean and make sure you don't, get any infections or whatever, and then they slowly work with you and try to wean you off, like under medical supervision.
I'm a big fan of that approach. I know just a little bit, not nearly enough
Yeah.
to sit here and act as if I do.
Do you think that would work here?
Here's the deal, right? In this world of harm reduction, there's no margin for error, yet it's impossible to do perfect.
Yeah.
No one has the fucking answer.
Right.
If we did, we bottle it, we sell it, we'd be a billionaire a billion times over. I believe, and I want to hope within my heart of hearts, that we're all coming to this with the most sincerest of intentions, and we want the best outcome. I really want to believe that. Probably not true, but that's what I choose to believe. And we're just doing the best with what we have. And if we all come together collectively and continue to not buy into, which could be, just political propaganda. Look at this war on drugs that you're fighting, that you're never going to win.
Yeah.
That just deepens certain parties' pockets for sure.
Right.
If you don't buy into that narrative and just stay in this for the right reason, like the right outcome will prevail. I'm a big. They were going to open the first safe injection site in Philadelphia. I don't know where, because they have those, but like in PA, I think the first one was going to be in the city of Philadelphia. And it was this close to being passed. And at the midnight hour, they pulled it.
Really?
And some of the arguments were, well, what if my son walks past there and he sees them in there injecting? Because same thing, they were going to have doctors in there. They were going to have people administering fentanyl test kits to see if there's fentanyl, a very safe space for which you can inject your drugs, give you clean needles, clean cookers, clean water, clean cottons to bring the disease spreading to a minimal. And they said, well, what if my son walks past there and he sees that? And then also it could be used as a portal, to where like if you're in there and you want help, here's all these resources available. Let's get you from there to treatment, right? It was going to do all this great, but then their big concern was like, well, what if my girl, what if my son, what if my daughter? And my thought to that was the majority of the men and women that are in there doing that don't want to be in there doing that, right? Like my mother, 83, God bless her soul, is never going to walk past the safe injection site and see some guy with a needle hanging out of his arm and be like, that looks pretty fucking fun.
Right.
Like that's
Yeah,
not
for real,
how,
right?
generally that's not how it works.
Right.
But then, fuck it, I'll just say it. Like being an owner of properties, I wouldn't want it next to my house.
Yeah.
If you're really going to be sincere, would you mind?
Right.
But who's to say? I mean, I would give up my property value in order to save countless people for sure. But my very first thought was like,
No, you don't want to.
I love
Yeah,
it,
you don't
but I love it
necessarily
over
wanna-
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Truth be told.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, what you don't see doesn't affect you, right?
yeah. But again, I just, I believe in miracles because I am a walking, talking miracle. And I know a lot of real life miracles that are amongst us all day and night. So I'll continue to fight this, what a lot of others would say, unwinning battle.
Yeah. What do you think about like all the fentanyl and shit being trafficked over here and mixed with everything, like in cocaine? And,
So that's
and
insane
heroin?
too. I
Is that-
had a big talk with the DEA. I just did an event with them, the DEA, and I asked them about that. They talked to me. They said cocaine is making a very big comeback. Not crack, but cocaine. They're seeing tons of cocaine again.
Yeah.
Methamphetamine, obviously, which is kind of known. And they said what happened is because they banned China from being able to export the ingredients that it takes to make fentanyl, right? Like they really put a safeguard on shutting that down as best as they could do. But what's happening now is, remember like when they were making the backyard meth, like in a bathroom in a little like soda bottle can? They're doing the same thing here with fentanyl, doing that. And they gave me this chocolate chip analogy. Because you have these guys in the woods with a Home Depot bucket and a 2x4 mixing up fentanyl, like for real, and then they're putting it into whatever product they're cooking up, it's turning into this imagine you're baking a batch of chocolate chip cookies. Do you have the ability to control how many chocolate chips go in each design cookie?
No.
Same thing with fentanyl. So that's why you get a batch where one guy you buy from the same dealer, one person might totally be fine, but the other person dies immediately. It's that whole chocolate chip cookie thing.
Yes,
so,
that's what. Yeah.
So they're doing that so that they understand. So what they're doing now, and you'll start to hear this if you pay attention, they're going to start changing the narrative and the wording of it. You're not going to hear overdoses anymore. You're going to start to hear poisonings. Because I said, well, why are they putting it in cocaine? Why are they putting it in Xanax? Why are they putting it in ecstasy? And they said to create that what addicts call speedball effect. I loved speedballs. There was nothing more I loved than shooting up heroin and cocaine at the same time, right?
Yeah, how do you do a speedball?
You just heroin and cocaine mixed up, cook it up, and shoot it together in one shot. But it gets you real high, and you just get this sensation, this smell, this feeling, and then it brings you like, you just stop in your tracks. But it kind of produces that same effect within these kids who are going to buy a little bit of blow, right? Or whatever. It gives you that without even knowing that you're going to get that, in hopes to create this new phenomenon and just to help spike sales.
Really?
Is what they're doing it for.
Get them addicted quicker.
I always thought that the fentanyl and the cocaine, because these people that are doing it are dying instantly,
I
right?
know.
So I always thought that, I read something about this where people
But
were
not
getting
all are dying because the chocolate chip effect, right? So there's so many that
Depending on how
aren't dying.
much,
Yeah, and you
right.
can't control that.
So I thought it was like shitty street dealers who sold heroin that you mix heroin with fentanyl on purpose, right? Like, 'cause it's a whatever, but they're mixing it on the same table or whatever as they're mixing the cocaine. So they're accidentally getting some some side residue of some fentanyl in there.
Yeah.
But you think they're intentionally putting it in there?
That's what I was told
Okay.
by the DEA
Right.
people. And it's not, remember, the DEA is like a very big facet. It's a big organization. So it's not like they have a speaker that speaks for them. I just talked to some people that are employed by them.
But if I'm selling coke and I'm mixing it with fentanyl and it's killing people, that's not good for business, right? 'Cause you don't want your clients to be dying.
True, but then the ones that don't die are like, what's this? That's like extra good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, that's different. I like that high. And
Yeah.
they go back to that person.